Good evening, everyone. IIDA board members, chapter leaders, award recipients, members, and of course, our College of Fellows. Unlike many of the other virtual programs that we've been hosting, this is really a very intimate celebration for you, for design leaders. I think we all know each other here, but just in case, I'm Cheryl, the Executive Vice President and CEO of IIDA, and I'm so honored to welcome you here to my living room this evening. And thank you for the privilege of joining us from your homes, and maybe some of you are even in your offices. Every year, we have the distinct honor of publicly acknowledging outstanding members of IIDA, as well as leaders in the field of design for their achievements. While this year is different in so many ways, it cannot and will not stop us from celebrating you, from celebrating great design, and continuing with the IIDA tradition of celebrating leadership. This year's honorees are a notable and accomplished group whose accolades are well deserved. And we're joined by the best and the brightest. That's every single one of you. So I hope you all have a beverage nearby. So let's toast. Cheers to everyone. Cheers to Thursday. Cheers to the end of the day. Cheers to my last Zoom webinar of the day. And after our celebration, we're going to use the magic of virtual meetings to allow you to mix and to mingle and chat with one another. So grab a aforementioned beverage, champagne, cocktail, whatever you want, and we're going to get started. So today we're going to kick off the evening with acknowledging the Anna Hernandez Luna Textiles Visionary Award, which recognizes a woman business owner whose firm specializes in interior design or product design. This year's winner is Kia Weatherspoon, who advocates for design equity in low-income communities through her Washington, D.C. based firm, Determined by Design. Kia, would you join me on screen? All right, you're unmuted. We've got video. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. How's everyone?
I think I'm going to speak for everyone since they're muted. I think everyone is fine. I'm hoping everyone is fine, right? How are you doing?
Yes, I'm living the dream. That's what I keep telling myself.
As are we all. So, Kia, you know, what does this mean? What does this award mean to you? And I want to throw in there, why is this award significant for you right now?
So I think for me, this award reminds me that the mission and the unwavering pursuit to provide design equity for all outweighs all the challenges, all the struggles, being a Black woman, not having the resources available to me, especially when I was starting my business. And it's also kind of calling out and saying, hey, these inequities in design outcomes exist in communities of color. And this statement, it's not brazen, it's not brass, it's just long overdue. And the narrative needs to not only be acknowledged, but repaired right now. And I think in the current climate of when we're talking about inequities in housing and education and technology, it's important now because our industry will not bridge that gap of Black and of diversity until Black and brown boys and girls are growing up in inspired and uplifting spaces that can guide them to interior design and architecture as a career path. So it's not a right now thing. This has to be to make change for generations to come. I think equity can't be a buzzword. It has to be a mandatory action. Diversity can't be an afterthought. And I think because it's designers like myself, this next wave, we won't allow it. Our voices are necessary, strong, and diverse. So this is the only way change is gonna happen.
Brava, and well said. And right, Kia, it can't just be you, it can't just be me, it can't just be Gabrielle Bullock. It takes all of us. It takes the whole community. We need our allies, right?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
Well, cheers. 1,000 congratulations to you, and we're so pleased that you're the recipient of this award this year. So all the best.
Thank you, thank you.
Everybody's clapping. All right, thank you so much, Kia. And now it is my honor to bring on screen an individual who so strongly characterizes IIDA, our 2020 Member of the Year, Abby Scott. Come on, Abby. There's her beautiful photo. There you are. Hey, Abby, how are you?
Hello, I'm good. How's everybody?
Good. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
How's life in Omaha?
Life in Omaha's good. The sun is out. It's summer here. We're all getting antsy. It was beautiful last night. We did social distancing in a driveway. So it's great.
That's perfection. So, hey, Member of the Year, can you talk a little bit about what being an IIDA member has meant to you personally and professionally? I feel like I've known you since you were a very young chapter leader. Not that you're a very old chapter leader now, but you know what I mean.
I do. And it's funny because I looked and I think my first CLC was about 10 years ago.
Wow. Okay.
I know. And so much has changed since then. And I think I have changed so much since then because of IIDA. I remember going and thinking our tiny little chapter is nothing in comparison to San Francisco and New York. And over the years, I've realized that's not the case at all. Like we have done so much. Our chapter is just as strong. Learning those things in CLC, not being afraid to ask the questions, coming to you with questions and saying like, let's reach out to the CEO. Let's talk to other chapters. So professionally, it's given me a lot of confidence and a lot of opportunities that I wouldn't have had with the different jobs I've had. And personally, I always say it's my design friends when I'm talking to my non-design friends, but it's really like our design community and design family. So it totally overlaps, and I love that it's all one at this point in life. So I think it's hard to say personally and professionally it's different because it all just jumbles into one at this point.
It's been so amazing watching you. A couple of years ago, you did a phenomenal keynote presentation at the BIFMA conference, and it was you and Pam Light, and you talked about your different perspectives on design and product and specifying, and you gave a lightning fast presentation about how you used Instagram. And it was so revelatory for a lot of the manufacturers, the COOs and CEOs in the room. And 3 of them have said that they changed their belief in social media and how they deploy social media because of what you said during that presentation. You are a woman with incredible power and influence, and I'm so proud that you are IIDA's Member of the Year.
Thank you, Cheryl. That means a lot. And it is a huge honor too. So thank you to my chapter. Thank you to HDR. Like, this is amazing. I even told you, I probably never would have done this unless I was pushed to do it. So I encourage everybody, you said it earlier, volunteering is just as good as your professional practice. And I truly believe that.
Yeah. Bravo to you and to the Great Plains chapter.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Abby. And now it's time for our Educator of the Year. This award is sponsored by KI, and this award celebrates excellence in leadership by an interior design educator. Joining us to celebrate this year's recipient is Brian Ballinger, VP of the Education Market Sector for KI. Brian?
Hi, Cheryl. Thank you.
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing well.
Good.
Abby
Turn it
and
over to
Kia,
you.
Thank you. Congratulations to Abby and Kia. And as for our Educator of the Year, we all know, especially those of us on this call right now, that the power of design to better communities starts with meaningful designed curriculums and spaces at the beginning of an education. So today we recognize the tireless effort and resounding commitment of a distinguished educator, Katherine Ankerson, who is the Dean of the College of Architecture at University of Nebraska-Lincoln. KI is honored to present the award of $10,000 in recognition of Katherine's extraordinary efforts with students and the profession of design. On behalf of KI, congratulations, Katherine. Please join us on screen.
There she is.
Thank you so much. It's
Cheers.
Cheers.
Congratulations.
wonderful honor. Thank you.
Yeah, cheers. Thank you so much, Brian. Thank you for joining us. And I'd also like to add, Katherine's a bit of an overachiever, and she not only is our Educator of the Year, but she also is a 2020 distinguished member of the College of Fellows this year. And so, Katherine, I'd like to ask you to share what's important for all of us to know about the future of design education, and maybe a little bit about the what's now in design education, since the world has turned upside down, and the world of education was certainly not exempt to that. So why don't you share a bit of now and next with us?
Sure. Thank you, Cheryl. Great question. And thank you, Brian. You know, design education faces a lot of exciting challenges for the future. Alongside those attributes and knowledge areas we've always expected in past years, the future of design education has to address emotional intelligence, information literacy, pursuit of meaningful impact that's so critical in our world. We need to help students be agile, resilient, and optimistic. I think that's so important. Design education has both the opportunity and the responsibility to affect so many things. And one of those that I find compelling is how we develop collaborative, productive, and respectful partnerships. The future of design education creates space. And by space, I really am talking holistically and atmospherically. We need to welcome everyone to the profession, and it serves not just the few, but as a right of all to be in resilient, healthy, and beautiful spaces and places. I really appreciate this honor and the way that you're honoring design education with this award. And in terms of the future, and now is the future, right? Mm-hmm. This opportunity that is in front of us has given us a chance to question the way that we have accomplished design education, to really look carefully at where our ideals are for the future, to pivot as we need to, and to reinforce those areas that we want the future to be. You know, I always think that those of us who are in education, and it takes partnership with the profession, but we are really affecting the future of the profession in how we prepare these students and the ideals that we set them to be optimistic and hopeful about, and to be courageous about. I think courage is a really important attribute that the future of design education really needs to reinforce as well.
Oh, Katherine, that was perfection. Graceful and eloquent, and your words about empathy and emotional intelligence and bravery particularly serve designers well, but all of those qualities help designers serve humanity. And I thank you so much for all that you have done. You've educated a generation of designers, and thank you. And it is such an honor for us to have you both as Educator of the Year and as a fellow in IIDA. Cheers to you and much love, my friend.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Katherine. And Brian and KI, thank you for your generosity in supporting this award. The IIDA Educator of the Year receives a $10,000 cash prize from KI, so thank you for that. I would now like to ask my friend Guy Geier, Chair of the IIDA College of Fellows, to join me on screen. Hey, Guy.
Hi there. How you doing?
All right, doing well. How are you?
I'm great.
All right, over to you.
Okay, thanks. The election to the IIDA College of Fellows is conducted annually to provide a means of honoring the outstanding contributions to and accomplishments within the interior design profession, the community, and the association by being an IIDA professional member. IIDA Fellowship is the most prestigious honor that can be bestowed upon an individual design professional. I am proud to have the honor of introducing to you all the 6 newest members of the College of Fellows. You've already met Katherine Ankerson, Dean of the College of Architecture at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln. So congratulations again, Katherine. Also joining the Fellows this year are Carol Bentel, partner at Bentel & Bentel Architects, William Boucher, Director of Design and Interiors at HOK, Jordan Goldstein, Global Director of Design and Delivery and Principal at Gensler, James Kerrigan, Global Interiors Design Principal at Jacobs. Unfortunately, James could not be here tonight with us, and David Meckley, Principal at Huntsman Architectural Group. They each bring a unique design perspective as well as a wide range of experience. My sincere congratulations to each of you. Please give this amazing group of IIDA members a hand and welcome them to the College of Fellows.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you so much, Guy. I hope everyone will enjoy chatting with Katherine and Carol and Bill and Jordan, James and David during our post-celebration happy hour. But before that, we wanted to hear some wisdom from our newest class of the College of Fellows. And so we're going to invite you all on screen individually to share your thoughts. And for reference, we are recording this to share with those who couldn't attend today, so no pressure. And Katherine, you so beautifully and wonderfully have already shared your thoughts on the future of education. So let's, Katherine, I'm sorry, and then let's jump to Carol. Can you join me on screen, Carol? There you are. Hello.
Oh, can you hear me?
I can, and I can see you. And Carol, can you please share with us your thoughts on what changes you feel need to be made, should be made, are imperative to advance diversity and equity and social justice in our industry and in our profession?
Well, thank you, Cheryl, and thank you, Guy. I first want to say it's a great honor to be included in this class of prestigious fellows. And I definitely want to thank Cheryl, the board, and all of IIDA, as well as congratulate the other honorees. In answer to your question, we are fortunate to have a very diverse office here in New York, and our hiring practice has been key to advancing diversity, beginning with our internship program. However, I believe we all need to be honest about our shortcomings and work harder. To answer your question best, I must put on my educator's hat, much like Katherine. Schools are where I believe we can make the necessary headway. Besides running a firm, I'm the chair of the interior design program at School of Visual Arts in New York City, and we strive to make our student body diverse and gender balanced by focused recruiting. So this is a strategy. Forging relationships with high schools of color, of low income, and community colleges is very important. Those students get recognized first for scholarships at SVA in my department. I also teach, and I'm fortunate to teach our junior students with Jack Travis, your 2020 IIDA Educator Diversity Award recipient. Jack is a great educator, not only for students, but also for our faculty. I think that he should speak to more practitioners as another idea to advance diversity and equity. I encourage this audience to have him speak in your offices. Note that Jack wrote a 1991 book, African American Architects in Current Practice. I searched for this book and I have an old book which I will share with you if you want. In addition, Jack would tell us to read The Aesthetics of Equity, Notes on Race, Space, Architecture, and Music by Craig L. Wilkins, published in Minnesota in 2007. And Wilkins wrote then, "The old solutions no longer apply. Our problems at this time are different. Architecture," and I'm going to insert interior design, "should be about that, about responding to society now, all of society for the future." So that was written 13 years ago. In addition, I hope that our industry can focus on project types that don't normally get the design expertise of an interior designer. For example, my students have worked directly with the Department of Design and Construction on issues surrounding incarceration and restorative justice, producing some very innovative results. We will be focusing on homeless shelters in the fall. And I just have to say one thing not on topic. I want us to remember IIDA fellow Neville Lewis, who also taught at SVA for many years, and we lost Neville in January at the age of 90. And finally, I just want to say I'm extremely grateful for this honor, becoming an IIDA fellow.
Thank you so much, and congratulations, Carol, and thank you for the reminder of Neville as well. Such a supporter, and there was no one like Neville. We're honored by your words, and it really does begin with education, and it's K through 6, and it's middle school, and it's high school. It's all about the pipeline, and we all have access and reach to getting in front of students, and representation matters. Next, Bill Boucher, you joined us yesterday for the student-focused rapid-fire discussion. It was an amazing endeavor. And so my question for you, since you spent time in front and talking to students yesterday, I would love to hear what advice would you give to a younger version of yourself about career path?
Okay, well, Cheryl, thank you for having me. Congratulations to all the other fellow inductees. It's pretty humbling to be with a group of this substance, so thank you very much for having me. I think we're in one of those unprecedented moments, right? The class of 2020 will be the first generation to graduate during the pandemic. And while it's certainly not the first time of economic setback or potential instability or change, it is unprecedented in that way. And so I think it's going to call upon a few types of skill and vision for oneself as a young professional. I think the primary concern I have, which could actually be an activist item, is if you think of the analogy of a mother duck waddling across some grass and jumping in a pond, and all the ducklings behind get a bit disorganized, fall on themselves, and stray in the water until they come into alignment again. I do think we have a responsibility to the class of 2020 to help track them. I think the next couple of years for some of them is also going to be unprecedented as a path. And in that way, calling upon themselves to be their self-facilitators, to think about themselves as their own brand, the potential that they might need to think about themselves as nomadic, meaning where the work is and where that work might be. Chameleon, hybrid are the words that come to mind about how they might think about entering this profession. Are they going to have to couple entry into this profession with other types of work and service? Are they going to have to create their own business plan that serves the individual needs to go out and attempt to practice the very thing that they've studied so hard for, that they've achieved graduation and certificate for, that they feel they do better than anything else in the world, which is ultimately improving the human condition. So I do have a high level concern about how we can best help and guide them. I think this is when the word mentor breaks down into docent and coach and guide in a lot of different forms and versions in the most helpful of ways. And given the social injustice and some of the social issues that have come to the forefront at the time that this pandemic has reached this monthly trial, we want to be sensitive because inclusivity and diversity have got to be a part of that thinking. And so I think that hybrid is key in this, but I think facilitating more self-learning, because I would imagine, as with every other economic downturn, there's an increase in the fields of architecture, interior design, and creative services, where people hang a shingle and go out and establish themselves because they seek out the direct ability to be creative. And there is going to be room for that in more than one sector as a result of larger commercial areas not being able to ramp up and hire and bring into the fold as many colleagues as they'd like to.
Yeah.
My trajectory as a young designer in upstate New York to go to New York City and study in New York and stay in New York was single note. So what I would say is, I think a chorus, a facilitation, and a playing out of writing a song as they start the first chapter of their career is probably a very appropriate analogy.
Yeah, that's perfect. Some diversity of thought and diversity of action. Now, you and I have daughters the same age. Are you feeling optimistic about the world that Simone is in right now?
I am. I think it's been interesting. Look, not only are they our daughters, they're young adults. So
yeah,
a certain
absolutely.
amount of respect, boundary, and space around their decision making is key and critical to being supportive in the background of the forefront of their early adulthood. I watched my daughter make a choice to move towards, out of being in frontline work in Los Angeles, to picking up registration and becoming certified as an online instructor for English as a second language for the Spanish community. So her next step is actually, she's working with an agency to line up clients. And while she was prevented from going abroad to do service abroad in a Spanish community and a Spanish culture, she found a workaround. And eventually it will lead to some type of online experience that will keep her engaged with the skill set that she acquired, because that's an area of passion and interest for her. And I think it represents a certain kind of innovative thinking that seems at first glance to be obvious in a block, but actually when you unplay it and unroll it and unpack it, becomes livable and a goal that can be acquired. And I applaud that type of thinking. I think it represents, if I can be a little bit proud, the kind of thinking that we want many of our young graduates, this class of 2020, to adopt to themselves. And given what the demographics tell us about the generations Y and Z and the next coming, they are in correct and multiple social contact to share. And I think we want to rely upon that in helping them.
Brilliant, brilliant, Bill. There's definitely some grit and resourcefulness, yet still they are conscious of passion. So thank you, congratulations.
Thank you.
And thank you as always for everything that you do for IIDA and for the profession of design.
Cheryl, I'll just add one thing, if I might.
Yes, Bill.
You know, and that one thing is that what's wonderful about this recognition for many of us who are also in my role is that you get to be the group poster child for group practice. And so my success is a result of many people's inputs, ideas, innovation, inspiration, ideation. And it's really, really fortunate. And it's incredible to be representative of so many people's success. So thank you.
Yeah. Cheers to the team. Thank you, Bill. All right. Jordan, you're up next.
Hello
there.
there.
You are. How are you?
I'm great. It's good to be with you. Very excited to be here this evening.
Good to see you again. So Jordan, I'd love to ask you a question about leadership.
Sure.
And what do you think is the embodiment of a good leader? Or I'll give you an alternative. I like to do an A and a B. So what's the embodiment of a good leader? And or what do you look for when you are looking for design leaders?
Well, first, I want to say thank you to you and IIDA. This is an amazing honor, and I am so psyched to be here and surrounded by, obviously, these other great honorees. And also standing like stage left is my family, like watching right here, which includes an aspiring interior designer. So I think one of the things I always look for is people that can model the behavior and be able to, in a sense, show the great conduct in all their actions that we would want to see, in our leaders. I'm fortunate that I'm seeing names on this screen of people that I know from throughout my career, including my Gensler colleagues, which is awesome to see. I think, I've believed since the beginning of my architectural and interior design work that design is made richer by many voices rather than one. And being able to, as a design leader, encourage different disciplines to be around the table, and that there's an equality around that table that makes the design solution stronger by virtue of those different opinions. And in terms of what I look for in other people, especially these days, is an empathetic ear. And also, I think, optimism about being able to look at their surroundings and bring, a sense of optimism, because I believe design is inherently an optimistic act. And we certainly see that the design intervention opportunities are everywhere these days. So being able to bring an empathetic ear and an optimistic mindset to the table.
That is perfection, Jordan. I feel like every time I share a screen with you, I learn something good. And I feel like you and I have been on a number of Zoom webinars as of late. So it's always good to see you, and thank you, and congratulations and cheers to your family off on stage left there, and to your future interior designer, who is probably a future IIDA member, right?
I hope so, yes.
I do too.
Thanks, Cheryl.
Thank you, Jordan. Now up is James, who unfortunately wasn't able to join us this evening, but he has provided a fairly Oscar-worthy video.
Hello, James Kerrigan here. That's better. You really can never be too careful with your mask safety, even in a pre-recorded video segment, as it turns out. I really am delighted to be a new inductee into the IIDA College of Fellows. For me, IIDA is the go-to organization for commercial designers. As a former international past president, I had a front row seat to be able to witness the value this organization brings to its members day in and day out. So I just wanted to say cheers to you, one and all, and especially a shout out to my fellow 2020 fellows. Good evening, and have a drink on me. Cheers.
All right. That was pretty fantastic. That James is always quite cheeky. I loved it a bit with the mask. And so cheers and congratulations to James Kerrigan. And last but most definitely not least, David Meckley. Hi, David. How are you?
How are you? Great.
Good. How's San Francisco?
It is a beautiful day here, actually, so it's very nice.
Good, 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 good. So you get the last question. Thrilled that you're a new fellow. And so your last question is, what does the future of design look like?
Yeah, just a really short little topic. Give me a half hour.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, as everybody else, of course, I want to first thank everybody at IIDA for giving me this honor. It really is truly heartfelt. I really have always thought of IIDA as my community, and they have supported me throughout my career, and it's very humbling to be honored in this way and with everybody else. So start with that. You know, like everybody else on this phone call, I seem to be like a perpetual optimist. And in fact, everybody always almost makes fun of my optimism. And then on top of it, I have like I studied with William Bridges, change management. And I think I look at what the last few months have been like a little bit differently because of it. You know, Mr. Bridges always said, it's not the change that does you in, it's the transition. And because the change happens in an instant. And you have to leave the safety of the shore to find someplace new. And in a way, COVID-19 kind of forced the whole entire world to leave that safety all at once. And so what I see this has done, and what everybody else here has actually talked about, is it's really opened us all up to a lot more ideas and opportunities, rethinking. It's actually forced us into places of uncomfortableness as we look into the new world. And even the last week or so, with all the injustice of the racism and the embedded racism, I'm not sure the world would have looked at it had we not already been so vulnerable and open. And unfortunately, it probably would have been a day news event, maybe 3 days. And what I think is so great is that this has forced us all to slow down and stop and look at things. And hopefully when we come out the other side, we'll be able to really look at injustice and the gap, the wealth gap, and global warming, and kind of with fresher eyes and a new way. And so when I look at design, I always think of design as being the vehicle that has really brought together all the other pieces, the science, the technology, the humanity, even theology. If you look at the history of architecture, has always been interwoven into it. And so I'm really hopeful that instead of just simply trying to solve how do we stay together 6 feet apart, that we actually spend these next year or so really looking at how can design, become part of solving and refocusing on these bigger issues, so that we're actually elevating and connecting the human experience and connecting people to the dignity throughout the world. And also that we're looking not at just so American focused as we always have, but actually realize there's so much more happening in the world that we can tap into and utilize. So
perfect. That's perfect, David, and a perfect note to end on, with optimism and a worldview. So thank you, and congratulations to David Meckley, and to each of you, to our award recipients, and to the newest members of the College of Fellows. You embody IIDA's commitment to excellence in interior design, advancing the profession of interior design, and quite honestly, service to humanity. Thank you all so very much for who you are and what you do.